Yo, there's something beautiful about Bearcats basketball. High flying.
Kenyon with a jam.
Shot denying.
Miles rejected.
There's just an energy that comes with the Cats. A rich history built on toughness.
And Mick Cronin looks like he wants a technical.
A bring-your-own-lunch pail mentality. For a long time, UC was the hunted.
I felt that we couldn't lose.
I think it's time the Bearcats do a little hunting of their own.
Once y'all done with them, send them to me, man. You know what I mean? We can put them on the court. Keep that Bearcat thing going.
I am fired up.
Takes it all the way. Oh! It's going to be Little.
I wonder how Steve Logan would be over in Afghanistan or somewhere. I bet he'd be pretty poised. He just does not get rattled.
Man, Exo, he'll cut it loose. Watch out. Stevenson cuts it back. Oh! Kilpatrick outruns everybody. Johnson, the exclamation point.
We've been dealt the king of heartbreak over and over again.
Rozier. Smith. And
Everything they worked for was undone on one play.
But I see the light. The Cats are back. Lukosius, open three, got it! Oh, baby! Welcome to the only live Bearcats postgame show on YouTube. This is Chatterbox Bearcats. What is the good word, everyone? Welcome into Chatterbox Bearcats. You can find the show on YouTube, wherever you get your audio podcasts. We talk the good, we talk the bad, and we talk a lot of the ugly, unfortunately. Nothing ugly about the panel tonight. Nick Niehaus. You know him as Nick Niehaus. Yeah. And Hudson Klauke, you know him as Houdini. Welcome into the program, everyone. Here's the deal. The Bearcats just inked up 2 players to their roster for next year. We don't know who's on their way out, aside from the obvious CJ Frederick, Simas Lukosius, et cetera, but the Bearcats get 2. It's a pair of former Mountaineers, a pair of former guys that have played just about everywhere. We got a former Illini Mountaineer combo and Sencire Harris. We got a former Kentucky Illini Arizona, which is where he played his best years combo, and Kerr Kriisa, who started for a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament a few years ago. My opening thought, none of this is going to matter if you don't land a big man. But with that being said, Sencire Harris, I love the grit. I love the defensive prowess that we'll talk about on today's show. Kerr Kriisa, I could see it being a CJ Frederick type situation. You get a hurt guy from Kentucky. It just doesn't necessarily pan out as he's turning 25. Or I could see it being a buy low bargain. We'll get to more on that in just a second, but just overall reaction, Houdini, from the commitments today, back to back.
I'm just glad we did something. Like, I was starting to panic. I'm like, we're going to do absolutely nothing. We did something. We brought 2 guys in. To your point, we still got a ton of work to do to be competitive. But you brought in 2 dogs. They're dogs, man. Like, it's the type of guys that you want on this team. I think the biggest thing we needed to change, really, first and foremost, was just the personality makeup of this team. I mean, we said it almost every damn show, and you got a guy like, Kerr Kriisa. It's like, you absolutely hate him if he's not on your team. Well, now he's on our team, so I can get with that. And Sencire Harris, we talked about his struggles shooting the ball, but all Big 12 defensive team, man. So I don't hate these pieces. I'll put it that way.
Niehaus, the pieces that they bring to the fold.
Yeah, I think Hudson hit the nail on the head there. In January, when we were going on that awful losing streak, I was like, I just don't think any of the players on the team really cared that they just lost the game. I feel like they went back to their dorms, apartments, whatever, moved on, and it didn't eat them up. But these 2 guys, I feel like these are 2 winners, and they hate to lose, which I think is the number one thing. 2 very good personalities on the court, a junkyard dog in Sencire Harris, and just a dog in Kerr Kriisa. So 2 good personality things. That's exactly what Hudson started off with. That's my initial take on these 2.
I wanted full analysis of this, and as much as you guys have broken down the tapes in the last few hours, Kriisa, a kind of surprising one. Harris, we knew it was coming for a minute now. I know you guys have broken down the tape, the stats, everything like that, but you haven't watched every single game. Mountaineer Paul has. You can hear him for Locked On West Virginia, has a nice following of Mountaineer fans over there, and he's gracious to join us on the program tonight after he goes live and after the Mountaineers, have had some of their own issues they got to take care of. He dissects these two players for us. Let's start with Kriisa. Harris, which one should Bearcats fans be more happy about?
Is Cincinnati back? Are you guys possibly back? You guys have made some pretty good moves just now, man.
We've been saying this since a long time. Let's put it that way. Are we back?
I mean, we obviously have the common Huggins theme, right? And I feel like we should be kindred brothers over that because we are the two outliers in the Big 12 that can say we really had Bob Huggins. Kansas State had him for a whiff, no time at all. We had Bob Huggins, and we saw what he could do. And Sencire Harris is a Bob Huggins guy if he were still to be around. Kerr Kriisa was a Bob Huggins guy. He literally committed in Bob Huggins' truck, an old truck that's beat up that told Kerr Kriisa, oh, this guy's loyal. And that's exactly what it was. That's the reason he said he committed. This guy's driving a truck from 1973. He must be loyal. I'm going to go with him. And then he came and he was loyal to the Mountaineers. If the daggone button hadn't been pressed and the season hadn't exploded on an almost 4 million NIL roster in like one of the first years of NIL, we had that huge roster come in, then, who knows what could have been. So, he's an elite. What I consider about him that's elite, he's an elite distributor of the ball. He can pass it like nobody's business. He gets the offense engaged.
We need that.
Engaged, and he's a great distributor of basketball. He hits big shots too at times. He really doesn't have any fear. And to me, that's one of his biggest qualities. He's probably as experienced as anybody in the country playing in the Big 12 and the SEC. You love that. And then Sencire Harris is a guy that, listen, he feels really overlooked right now. Not only did Darren DeVries bolt and leave Morgantown without saying goodbye, he didn't ask him to come to Indiana with him, right? And then his brother, Amani Hansberry, goes to Virginia Tech with Chester Frazier, their former coach, and he doesn't get to go there either. And I don't know the ins and outs whether he chose Cincinnati over Virginia Tech or not, but I'm just saying I think he feels a little slighted right now, and that's a guy you do not want to have slighted. The best on-ball defender in the Big 12, you guys landed him. He's going to shut down whoever the best player is, 90 feet, game in and game out. That's just going to be a fact. I'm not overselling this. Go watch the tape. Sencire Harris is the best on-ball defender in our league.
Yeah, so I think a lot of us have watched Kriisa. He's been around for a long time, and you hit the nail on the head. We need a facilitator, kind of a pass-first guy. We just don't have that on the roster right now, so I think he can help there immediately. Sencire Harris, I think the fan base probably hasn't seen as much of him. Now, you look at his three-point percentage, all right, 11%. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
My question to you is, do you think that's something – because his freshman year at Illinois wasn't nearly as bad from three-point land. It wasn't great, but it wasn't 11%. Do you think that's something that he can fix, or do you think, hey, that's just kind of the player that he is and not going to be able to knock down even wide-open threes?
It's not a form thing. His shot doesn't look terrible, in my opinion. I just think that he's not a good three-point shooter, and I don't think he'll ever be one. Here's the thing about DeVries. He told him to keep shooting. This was, he mentioned it in several press conferences. It's just the way the offense is run. It's similar to a spread attack on the football field. They go fast all the time, and even though they're up 30, they still go fast. You just run the offense, right? You got the third string guy in, you're up 50, you're still going fast. You just run the offense. Similar to this, if you're open in Darren DeVries' system, you're pulling the trigger. That included Sencire Harris, which really led to, in my opinion, he shouldn't have been shooting those shots. He should have been passing or doing something else, but he was coached to do differently. And I think he'll do differently in your all system. I think he's a great slasher. Okay.
I think he's going to take some bad shots.
He will take some
in the last couple of years.
He will take some, but if he's, I'm just saying, if he's coached to do different, like we were told that DeVries was telling him to just pull the trigger, like if he was open to shoot it. So that's what he did.
Yeah, that's where I wonder how much of a green light Wes gives these guys, though, because it feels like they're never getting yanked. They could shoot whatever they want at any time, good or bad. But lately, I mean, that's kind of been our only option without a true big man down low. Niehaus, send Mountaineer Paul out with a good one. Mute monster, gotcha.
Muted. Usually I'm never muted. There's been a lot of questions about Kerr Kriisa, his shot selection, all of that. He shot 42% from 3 at West Virginia. So my question to you is, what was his green light like? Was he going out there just able to just launch from wherever? Is that how Wes Miller should handle him at UC? Because he's a streaky shooter, right?
He can be a streaky shooter for sure. I think, with Kerr, I think, he always plays well off of a good stretch big. That's really where Kerr Kriisa gets good shot selection, is when a good stretch big is around him. Obviously, we had Trey Mitchell, who eventually went to Kentucky. Around Kerr,
we have a Mitchell, but he can't stretch it. Sorry.
It's all right, man. I get it. So whenever he's able to get the guy, he can pick and pop, or like Jesse Edwards, the guy that can run at the rim so that he can reposition, or so that he can feed the ball off and move around coming off a couple screens. He's really good at that. And the thing is he always makes the best decision in the flow of the offense when he's coming off screens. It's, in my opinion, it's when things get a little bit hairy, or guy like Sencire Harris is really hounding him where he's a little bit out athleted. Sometimes that's where he can struggle. But in the flow of the offense, under control, when he's not thinking too much, he really makes good decisions. And it really comes down to coaching. If you trust your coach, if you think that Miller can keep him under control and in the flow of the offense, he'll do great for you.
All right, keep Mountaineer Paul in mind. Football. Actually, I don't think Cats play the Mountaineers in football this year, do they?
Yeah, I don't think we do. No, actually,
I don't think we do. But for basketball season, he's the guy to go to when you want some Mountaineer nuggets after UC postgame shows. So appreciate it. You can find a bit Locked On West Virginia. Thanks for stopping in, Paul.
Hey, the Bearcats are going to be back.
We love to hear it, man. We love to hear it. So let's open this thing up. Again, I think based on what he's saying with Kriisa playing well off a stretch big, like this is what it's going to come down to this offseason. Can Wes Miller land a legitimate, and I'm talking someone that can score the basketball big? They have not had that. Did Locken bring it? Yes. When Locken played well, did the Cats play well? Sometimes. But that's kind of where we stand. Like, we're linked after all these guards. We're linked after the 6'10" forward from UNC Wilmington, 6'10", 280, Abuehu, or I believe it's something along those lines. If he commits, we'll obviously learn the name. We'll learn more of the skill set, but he is on his way for a visit, it sounds like. Lily's been crunching the numbers in case he does commit. But that's the biggest thing to me, is I can't get overly excited about anything, even if it's a dog and, someone that started on a 2 seed. I can't get overly excited until we see that first big man commit, because if you don't have it, it's just not going to work. We've seen it over and over.
No, certainly, like I said, there's plenty of work to do. There's still a ton of guys out there that we can get. And, Kriisa, for example, it kind of came out of left field. I knew probably the last 3 years he's entered the portal, we've been in the mix for him. So I think this was a long time coming. Now he is coming off a Jones fracture too. So that worries you, a little PTSD with CJ Frederick coming from Kentucky. That worries you a little bit, but I was running through like guys that had Jones fractures. Kevin Durant had one like 10 years ago. CJ McCollum, your guy Zion had it. I mean, granted, he's been, basically hurt his entire career. So that's a little worrisome, but yeah, that's the thing with him. It's like we're buying low on a guy like him. So I assume we didn't have to deploy too much money, but yeah, at the end of the day, there's plenty of work to do that we still have to see, especially from the big man spot.
I like what and I like what MW2 says here. They can look at the center role with no worry about the guards now. That's where it becomes interesting, because from all indications, it's that Jizzle James and Day Thomas are both coming back. So now you add in Sencire Harris, who can, you want him to be, I like to compare him to like a Gary Payton II, where he just plays around the rim, plays a lot bigger than his size. He's pretty long for his size, and he gets in passing lanes. Like, he's awesome. He's going to block shots. He's going to steal the basketball. He's going to go the other way for 2 with his athleticism. I like that. And then you bring in Kriisa. I mean, let's just look at him as a CJ swap, basically. His scholarship's out the door, regardless of what happens in the portal. You replace his scholarship with someone that was also hurt, but has been, quite frankly, more effective more recently than CJ was when he came over to Cincinnati. So good buy low option there. We will see. But again, for me, comes back to the big man Niehaus. What are they going to do? They probably have some of their guards in check. What's going to happen with Betsy? What's going to happen with Rayvon Griffith? Assuming those two go, what kind of guard do you look for from there? Because look, these guys together aren't going to cut it. You still need, and maybe it's a buyout, but you still need that playmaking wing that none of these guys give you.
No, and I can't believe that nobody has hit the portal yet. But that's a topic for another time. Everybody who has texted me about getting these two, it's like, all right, good. Well, people are mixed on these two, but we'll get to that as well. They're like, okay, now we got to go get a big. We got to go get a big. And what I have answered is, we don't have a choice. Like we're gonna get a big, whether it's a good big or a bad big. We don't have a choice because all we got there is Tyler McKinley at the moment, because it seems like Arrington Page, that ship has sailed. I'll tell you one thing, because we kind of knew that Sencire Harris was going to be committing today. Kerr Kriisa announcing that he was going to be a Bearcat made me feel a whole lot better about Sencire Harris becoming a Bearcat as well, because Sencire Harris, like you just heard, is probably the best on-ball defender in the Big 12, but 11% from three-point land is quite literally terrible. To that, though, he's got a sense of humor. He's also a winner. He's replying to people on Twitter saying, I got 2 years left, man. Like, it's going to get better. And I replied to him. I'm like, there's only one way to go, but there's only one way to go. It's up. But Kerr Kriisa is that on offense. He's a sniper, 42% from three, his last full season of college. I like these two first gets, but like you said, Chuck, it doesn't matter unless they get a big man.
Yeah, and he was clearly a role player last year in his 9 games for Kentucky, averaged like 4 points per game, a little different than he was at Arizona, averaging 11, 12 points on that team that, remember, lost to Princeton. I was up in Sacramento at Golden One Center covering that game back in the day, and Princeton took him down. Kriisa was the starting point guard that could not hit water out of a boat in the second half of that game, as Arizona just went cold and Princeton came back and won it. But yeah, I mean, look, I can be talked into anything, right? But bringing in a guy that kind of reminds you of Titus Rubles, it's not going to be pretty on the eyes with Sencire Harris. The numbers say that he's like a smaller Rubles, but Rubles was a winning player. He was a dog, man. And then Kriisa, again, if you look at it just from the sense of, all right, it's a swap for CJ Frederick, you just got better. Absolutely. Because although CJ was effective against BYU, Arizona State, some of your wins, when it counted, CJ Frederick was not there for you, unfortunately. So that's just what it was with CJ, and hoping it's going to be better with Kriisa. But if Kriisa is the big move of the offseason, fellas, and this combo is the big move, and then we're getting a guy from UNC Wilmington that, you know, is just a huge body, and they decide to run it back with Paige and Betsy, whatever it may be, then you know, it's a completely different story. But let's let this thing play out. We do have until April 22nd for portal news to happen. So 16 more days of this thing firing off before the portal closes. And there are guys that you wonder, is Josh Reed going to come back? Can you upgrade at that position, or is he a Bearcat? A player like Halvin Zella, did you see enough from him to bring him back? I don't know how you welcome in a guy from France and then just say, scram, man. We saw a game of you and it wasn't good enough. But Betsy and Paige seem like guys that could potentially leave. I just want the full view thing on this. Houdini, like, where do we stand right now? How do we feel?
I think it's going to be like Black Monday. I think we're going to see a bunch of portal entries tomorrow. I really do. And I think the two big ones that, from what we've heard, or, you know, where there's smoke, is that Dan Skillings and Dylan Mitchell will be leaving, which right there is going to free up a ton of NIL money right there. So I think there's going to be some splashes. There better be some splashes, or we're going to be in the bottom of the Big 12 again. But for what we got today, at least we did something. You do love when you see, like, Sencire Harris, Paul was mentioning it, you know, all over. If you're looking at Twitter, West Virginia fans love the guy, just loved him. So that's always a positive. And then Sean N mentioned it in the chat, like, getting a guy like Kriisa, he literally was talking shit to Luka Doncic in a FIBA Cup game. Like, that's the type of mentality this guy has. Even the Kentucky fans, he played 9 games. They love the dude. They're like, he's a dog, man. He's a Wildcat forever in my book. So, this isn't going to change the direction of this team completely, but to change the mentality, at least to start, I'll take it, man. And like you said, I could get spin zoned into damn near any player. Sencire Harris, maybe the shot doctor will fix him.
It's simple, guys. It's the lens that we're viewing it through. And the lens that we need to view it through right now is we just replaced the guards that are on their way out, like CJ Frederick, maybe Hickman, if Hickman does not get that extra year of eligibility. And then Lukosius, you replace Lukosius with Sencire Harris and you replace CJ Frederick. When you look at it that way, it's all right. It's just a question of what are we going to do the rest of the way and how many of these players are we going to retain? Because if it looks very similar to how it did last year, and you just add in Harris and you add in a couple other guys, like I mentioned, I'm not feeling nearly as good. But again, spin zone me, we got better. We had scholarships to use. I mean, if Rayvon Griffith's out the door, he played like 45 minutes the entire season. And if you're replacing him with a 6th-year point guard that has played in multiple tournament games and shot at 40% from 3, 36% over the course of his career, and an all Big 12 defensive player who's kind of on the rise stock-wise, you'll absolutely take it, Niehaus.
The spin zone is that we just replaced Simas Lukosius with Kerr Kriisa. I'll say that was the flip because he's going to be our go-to three-point shooter, and Simas had an awful year. So that's the spin zone there. And then you also, in my opinion, replace the Josh Reed role with Sencire Harris. And you know what? And again, I don't want to just absolutely crap on our players, right? But everybody looks at Josh Reed as some amazing defender. I think that's just because he's not great on offense and he plays a lot. And it's like, well, if he's not good on offense, he's probably a really good defender. He's not that great. Sencire Harris is probably the best on-ball defender in the Big 12. So that is a major upgrade defensively in the Josh Reed role at the 2-3 spot, in my opinion. So that's the spin zone. And the other spin zone is I think that this team just didn't work because you had 3 guys who couldn't shoot the ball at any given point outside of Day-Day improving in terms of the guards and the wings with Dan Jizzle. Now Day-Day, he shot the ball 40% from 3 this year. Very good. But then the 2 bigs inside, Mitchell and Aziz, you couldn't throw the ball in the post and expect them to get a bucket, and they couldn't shoot either. So it's just like, this was just a flawed team, in my opinion. So you get Kerr Kriisa, a playmaker in here, Sencire Harris, who can defend. Again, we keep going back to it. You need to get somebody that can stretch the floor at the big man position. But I think it's a good spin zone, Chuck. I think it's a good start.
We need it too.
It's a good start, man. We need a 2 guard. We need a 2 guard bad, man. Because we had the same talk last year, man, and we got swindled into it that Hickman was going to be that 2 combo guard that could score for us, and that Arrington Page was going to take this huge step. Wes Miller kept saying that come April, he's going to be one of the – I think he even said April. He knew a crown run was coming. He said March. But come March, Arrington Page is going to be one of the best big men in the country. And Dylan Mitchell, I mean, great defender, just like Sencire Harris. Obviously, it's completely different stylistically, but both good defenders. And we were talked into believing that it was going to be a really good team, right? So I don't want to get too high. I don't want to get way above my skis. But again, it could be a lot worse considering some of the players that we just brought up a few days ago. Like, would you rather have Cam Kraft or would you rather have Kerr Kriisa?
Give me Kriisa. Give me the dog. Give me the dog.
Give me the dog. How much do we pay for him is the question. Like, is this one of our big portal lands, or is it kind of a buy low thing where coming off a Jones fracture, he just wanted an opportunity to play?
It's got to be a buy low thing, right? And he went to – and this guy's played in massive games. I mean, at Arizona, what were they, like the 3rd team in the country when he was running the show there? And I think he likes getting some volume, and he's certainly going to get some volume on this team. But we do need to surround, because like Paul had mentioned, he is a facilitator. I think he had 1 game with like 14 assists this season of the 9 games he played. We were looking for, and I said that multiple times, a facilitating point guard, because Jizzle James just certainly is not that. And I think we got it in him, but we need to surround him with shooters, because you're not going to get those assist numbers if, Sencire Harris is the guy we're throwing the ball to in the corner. So, and we've seen Wes, he's targeting a ton of different shooters, but hopefully some of those come to fruition, and then maybe we'll see us land a big here in the next 48 hours.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. It seems like we're all bought in on these two, at least from my opinion. I am, but I tweeted this. I feel like this is the most down the middle that you're going to get for two guys at the same time, where it comes to Kerr Kriisa and Sencire Harris. Because I've had 4 people text me about Kerr Kriisa. 2 said, "Oh my God, I can't believe we got him. I'm so excited for him." The other 2 said, "What in the world are we doing? Kerr Kriisa? I hate Kerr Kriisa." And I just feel like these are 2 very volatile guys. So it's kind of exciting to see. We definitely learned our lesson, not getting too ahead of our skis. So I'm definitely going to not just completely buy in, but very volatile guys to start the transfer portal with Kerr Kriisa and Sencire Harris. I feel like there's definitely a lot of mixed emotions.
One of you guys it's risky. Also, is you guys playing with your internet wiring throughout the day or whatever? Because I can never get a gauge on you two. Whenever I welcome you two in, it's always just I feel like we're playing roulette, Russian roulette, and I'm just waiting for the stream to go down and for us to lose everyone. But welcome to everyone into the live program. Get your questions in the comment. We'll finish this thing up soon. Sencire Harris, all Big 12 defender from West Virginia, played at Illinois his freshman year, coming into the University of Cincinnati's basketball program, as is Kerr Kriisa, formerly of Kentucky. Before that, West Virginia for a season, and then had probably his best stint in Arizona. What were you saying, Houdini? Sorry to cut you off, but you were just getting a little choppy there. I wanted you to recalibrate.
I'm not even sure when I cut off, but yeah, Kerr Kriisa is a risky portal get because there's a chance that he could literally just, tweak his knee first game of the season to be out. He's already missed almost 2 full college seasons of basketball, or 2 full seasons of college basketball. And he's going to be 25. Isn't that what we said next year? So he's going to be a veteran guy, but hey, at least we made some type of a splash, because some of the names that we're linked to, I'm not very excited about. And he has a high ceiling. And like Niehaus said, the guy just pulls up, man. He'll shoot a 40-footer. Sometimes those are bad shots, but based on what we saw from the perimeter last season, I am more than happy to welcome a guy like that onto our team. And Sencire Harris, he's a dog, man. Junkyard dog. He's going to defend the best player on the other team, the best guard on the other team every game. You can't have enough of that on any team.
I think it's going to be a fight for the ball between Kerr Kriisa and Sean Abayev. I'm looking forward to seeing who gets more shots up at Fifth Third Arena, considering those are 2 guys that you feel like are ball stoppers. And that's something that we kind of were looking for, or at least looking forward to, with Sean Abayev, is somebody that you're going to trust to get a bucket. Kerr Kriisa is somebody I'm going to trust. And we had a comment pop up that Kerr Kriisa gives us CJ Frederick vibes. Look, coming off an injury, coming from Kentucky, he's old, coming to Cincinnati. I get it. I think the similarities end there, though. They couldn't be 2 completely different players, in my opinion. Yeah, they're both 3-point shooters. CJ Frederick I'm not saying he's scared of his own shadow, but you don't see him out there, talking smack to Luka Doncic. Kerr Kriisa isn't afraid of anybody. So I think the similarities are going to get that all over the place about CJ Frederick, Kerr Kriisa. I think it's ridiculous. Yeah, I get he's coming off an injury from Kentucky, but they couldn't be any more different.
That's a well-spoken take, Niehaus. Well thought through. That's why we have you on the program. Yeah, a little golf clap for Niehaus, who did not shoot a 92 today. However, he did ref a buzzer beater and said that it was a tight call at the end there. Did the horn sound? Did he get the shot off in time? Niehaus said good. He said it was a split-second decision. He's going to lose some sleep. But it was close. He said it was close. We're hoping that the Bearcats are close right now, everyone. Abayev, Tillery coming in. We haven't spent a ton of time on Tillery, but there's a chance, Prep Player of the Year, that he's really good and he can play. So between Tillery and Jizzle and Day-Day, assuming all these guys come back, you wonder how the minutes are going to work. In the last 2 seasons, we've said heading into the year, this is such a great problem to have. We have all this depth. We can platoon hockey-style subs at the Ohio State game. Let's frickin' go. And then by the end of the year, it was 7 guys, and you couldn't play half of them. So let's get playable basketball players. That's what I want to say here. And it appears, if healthy, the Bearcats just got 2 of them today with nobody on the way out as of right now. Who's going to be up first leaving for UC? Is it going to be Arrington Page, or is there a chance that when Wes Miller said a season ago he's going to be one of the most improved players in the country, he believes in this guy, truly?
It just doesn't make any sense, because we know people are entering the portal. I I need some type of a reasoning of why they haven't done it yet. There's no way they haven't made the decision yet. I'm sure they're already, you're looking at trying to make these NIL deals at different schools. We're like we got to be one of the only programs in the country that not one player has entered the portal yet. And it's April 6th. I truly don't understand it. It makes you a little nervous. It does.
I saw a take on Twitter from, I think it was Terry Nelson Burner, who's a day one of the show, said, I think that he thinks that they're waiting to get tampered with so that they know like what they're going into. Because it is probably scary for some of these guys to enter the portal, not get, a raise, right, in a paycheck. And then they have to come crawling back to Wes Miller. So I've never thought of that before, but that was an interesting take. I don't know if it's true, but something that I have not considered yet.
I mean, we said it so many times on the show. It's just a fascinating nuance that never in the history of this sport, or really any sport, have we had to deal with, where it's just like, I can get up and go. The contracts, they're a 1-year deal, whatever. We're talking new payments at the end of every year. It's a negotiation table. Like back in the day, it was when you're a sophomore, you're probably coming back your junior year unless Bob Huggins yelled at you and you enter the portal and then you end up coming back. Shout out Eric Hicks. There was no portal back then, though. But like that's how college basketball used to work. And God, has it changed quickly where we hit the negotiation tables. And probably for this program currently, it's a good thing. Otherwise, we'd have a lot of scholarships tied up to guys that have not proved they can play at this level. But again, I mean, how many times have we seen cats in the past? A Troy Copain, who was solid as a freshman, turn into like an awesome player, or a guy like Eric Hicks, who did nothing his freshman year, turn into a all-conference and beloved player in Bearcats history. Like the Pages of the world, the Betsy's of the world, like their story isn't written yet. It's just like from the eye test. Like, does Betsy have a big enough bag to where he can be a really good player and not just a knockdown shooter, which he wasn't this year? And Arrington Page, like, does he have the basketball knowledge? The game just looks a little hard for him. Does he have the basketball knowledge to back up the fact that he literally looks like DeAndre Ayton out there or something? Like, he physically has it.
If they were coming back, the minutes in the Crown would make absolutely no sense. We're talking games that don't matter. Betsy and Page. Betsy got in for like 30 seconds, cup of coffee, and was
Wes
subbed
wanted
out.
to win it, man. Seamoss, he thought was his best chance. He wanted to win that thing.
I guess you're right. He just really wanted that.
He's a competitor.
50K.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't make any sense. You're going to play the young guys. I mean, he was playing Ravon a ton of minutes in that final game. So it wouldn't make any sense unless they were injured or something to not play those guys. So I fully anticipate Betsy and Page are hitting the portal.
I'm curious what's going to happen at the guard spot, because at this point with Kerr Kriisa, and Sencire Harris is basically a guard. He's 6'4". I guess you can call him a wing, but it's loaded. Because if you pencil Connor Hickman in, I think that is the one thing that might have blown up in their face with Hickman not walking on senior day, because now you got Kriisa, Jizzle, Day, Hickman, Tillery, all 5 people for 2 spots. Add in Sencire Harris, who's 6'4". He's, I guess, a wing. I guess, right? It's curious what we're going to do there, but that's a lot of people for 2 spots. I guess maybe you go 3 guards and go small. I don't know. We're probably, because Day and Jizzle, it seems like they're coming back. Hudson, what?
Well, yeah. Well, when Kerr committed, I was like, oh wait, does that mean Jizzle's gone? I was like, that would make more sense. And then I saw Jizzle like repost the Sencire Harris thing, like, welcome to the squad, brother. So I was like, wow, we have a shitload of guards on this team. Like Tillery was probably looking at this like, damn, where are my minutes going to be coming from? So I think it's interesting. Connor Hickman, I'm seeing that he's probably not going to get that waiver. So I think he might be out of the mix. Right. I think
they were hopeful that he was going to get that waiver. And it's like, dude, you played 13 games.
You missed the cutoff.
Yeah.
It's 9.
Where do we draw a line? Where do we draw the line? I mean, we got bidding for portal players. Hickman playing 13 games, getting his 6th year of eligibility. I don't know, but
they should just give everybody 10 years now. Everybody just gets 10 full years to play college basketball, whether you're hurt or not, medical red shirt, you get a decade. Because that's damn near what we're doing. We're heading in that direction. The JUCO thing, So is Day Thomas going to get an additional year? Is
Well,
that really how this is playing out?
Well, this would be his additional year. It's if he gets two more years,
though, right?
Like exactly. I don't
2.
know. That's Lily.
Insane.
We need to get Lily on the horn. Get Lily on the horn. He's the one. He said he initially thought 2, then he heard some stuff that maybe he went back to just saying 1. But I feel like it should be 2 because he had 2 at JUCO. So why wouldn't it be 2 more? We're gonna be Auburn of now. Hold up. Let me get this take out before everybody jumps down my neck.
Niehaus, let's make sure he's coming back before we talk about his eligibility moving forward. We'll take the 1 year. Because we know that as Kerr Kriisa has showed us, you could play at 4 different schools in this day and age.
Yeah.
So back to Harris, something I wanted to bring up. Since 2008, 6 players have met this threshold. Under 6'5", over 3% block and steal rate, and 60% or more of team minutes. Now, obviously, that is a Lilly statistic, as some of the Xavier people in the Discord have called him Poindexter. But he plays a big role in our program, and he gave us this stat. Those players, the 6 players. Gary Payton II, right now a huge contributor on the Golden State Warriors. Retin Obasahan, he was a great player back in the day for Alabama. D'Anthony Melton also played for the Warriors this year, but was hurt and traded. Devin Carter of Providence and Jermaine Dixon of Pittsburgh. Sencire Harris, the 6th player on that list. So if he can be your GP2, man, he can just play around the rim, clean things up, guard the perimeter. Because offensively, I mean, I don't know. This team has needed a playmaker, and that is not him by any means. Kind of the opposite of a playmaker offensively. But hey, you get him in there for his defense, and on offense, you say hang out by the rim, man. Let's get some offensive rebounds. Let's get some toughness in there. And that's what I'm hoping for from Harris. And again, Bearcat DNA, it seems like he has it.
Yeah, it certainly does. And like I mentioned, he's out there calling out people on Twitter saying it's going to be better. I mean, he shot 31% from 3 at Illinois. So it exists. He can do it. And that's on 1.2 attempts. So it's low volume. But he's 51% from the floor. Like the guy, you pull up his highlights and it's longer than 30 seconds. They're not going to show defensive highlights. And I was playing the highlights to my dad. I'm like, look at all these. They're all the ball's going in the hoop. Right. So all of his highlights have him making shots.
Hey, he's made a 3 before. That's what Niehaus is basically saying. Like, I know I've seen him make at least 1. The question is, it's like, hey, how bad is it really? Because if you literally don't have to guard him at all, I'm talking you can give him 6 feet at the 3-point line as a 2 or 3 guard in the lineup. That is going to make it very difficult to score on offense. They're going to crowd the lane, and it's going to be tough for people to, dribble James, for example, Jizzle James, our guy, getting into the lane if they don't have to guard one of our wing players from the perimeter. So I'm interested to see that. I haven't looked at the tape long enough to see truly how bad that 11% really is. But Paul basically, even though Paul was the most optimistic guy ever, he was like, oh no, he sucks at threes, man. Like it is so bad. So that could be a problem.
You know what though, Houdini? 75% from the line. That right? I like. I mean, so that's what's also important because I don't have a feeling that we're going to be asking him to shoot threes. But if he drives to the basket, which was his highlights, he's going to get fouled occasionally. Go to the line. You need those to be sunk. So that's kind of what you look at for optimism with Sencire Harris.
Mute monster.
Damn it.
Jeez, thought you were a pro, dude. It's embarrassing.
Dude,
figure it out.
I used to have an audio team back in the day. That's how far I've dropped off in this world of broadcasting. I got to run my own audio. I got to direct everything. I got to welcome in Mountaineer Paul from the outside by sending him the link. But let's run through this roster, who the Cats have right now, who we believe they have coming in. So point guards, we got Tillery. We think Jizzle's coming back. We believe Day-Day's coming back. And then, I mean, we'd call Kriisa a point guard, right?
Yeah. I would.
Shooting guard, we believe Hickman is coming back per the last we heard. If he gets, you guys are giving me the face like, you're not going to count on that. So. All right. I'll cross off Hickman. Shooting guards, who we believe are coming back, entering this next season, as we now have 4 point guards on the roster. Who would you classify as a shooting guard?
You could say Day Thomas and Jizzle James could be shooting guards. That might actually be how they play this thing out, depending on who we pull in the portal and have a Kerr and Tillery if he's any good at point guard. But you can kind of swap any of those guys at the 1s and 2s if you ask me.
Okay. So shooting guard, we're not going to include Rayvon on there. Nope.
I don't think the handles are there yet.
No.
Rayvon's not on the team
like
next
3
year per these two. Unfortunately. That's what I'm saying.
I thought you meant like a shooting guard. I was like, he's more like a 3 if you ask me. But yeah, I think
do you
like
have him on the small forward position?
I think he's a coin flip if he's coming.
Okay. Well, we'll say no. We'll say that coin flip lands on tails and it does, or it lands on heads and tails does fail. Sean Abayev, obviously, at the small forward position. At the center position, we're going to pen in McKinley. And then at the small forward position, we're going to pencil in a small Sencire Harris, who I think can do that, or you can, slide him up to the shooting guard. But who else we got on next year's team that we believe truly is coming back? If Mitchell and Dan are out the door, there's your small forwards. Like, who's the power forward that we have returning? Am I missing anyone?
Halveen, Zella.
All right, I'll pen him in. Zella is our starting powered forward next year.
It should be one focus, and it should be big men. Like we've hammered that point home on this episode, but you got Kerr Kriisa, you got your CMOS replacement with Kerr Kriisa shooting the 3 ball. You need a big man that not only can get you a bucket on the post, because we didn't have that this year, but also can stretch it a little, which we also didn't have. We didn't have. It's kind of crazy looking back, and it's like, well, what could your big man do offensively the past year? Can he score down low? No. Okay, he shoot? No. Well, he can catch lobs. He can dunk. That's about it, though. And I don't want to just pile on, but I think that was the number one thing that messed us up this year. I do.
Yeah, well, it's going to be the small forward, the power forward, and the center position as of right now, because you need a big time wing. And as of right now, Abayev, Harris, and Josh Reed potentially. Like, Abayev better be that dude. Maybe he is, but he better be that dude. And then the Zella McKinley combo down low. That does not make you feel great. But again, you got until April 22nd, 16 more days for Wes to pull some rabbits out of some hats. The Chatterbox Bearcats team is hearing a big name. We're not going to say it yet, but connected to the University of Cincinnati as of a couple days ago. Houdini gets a smile out of that one. He really wants this one to come to fruition. That could potentially be a tease. Unfortunately, not a big man. So final thoughts, Niehaus.
My final thought is that we got 456 people watching the stream right now. Shout out to everybody who was with us day one. Thanks for a good season for football and basketball, because it wasn't great on the field and on the court, but we grew this thing a little bit in terms of viewership. So I'm so thankful that everybody is watching along, and we're just going to keep giving way more portal content. Bearcat Bunch, Eric Lilly, follow him on Twitter. He's killing it with the portal. He's the only one out there with a portal tracker. If you know anything about the portal, follow Bearcat Bunch on Twitter, because you'll be able to learn much, much more. He's killing portal coverage, and I think we are as well. So, yeah, keep following along, guys.
Pat on the back. A little humble pat on the back from Nick Niehaus. Doing a good job and reffing a great game. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Houdini, final thoughts?
Hey, man, at least we did something. We got a whole lot more work to do, but at least we're doing something. I think we're going to see a lot of portal entries here soon. Wes isn't done yet. This is his last hurrah, guys. He's putting everything on the line here. I would be shocked if we don't get a big splash and a big-time playmaker here soon. And if we don't, then God help us all.
Well, the big splash, obviously, it needs to come, and some form of a splash is coming soon, because the Bearcats, regardless, if no one enters the portal, I believe they still have a couple scholarships that they would need to use as we bump this thing up from 13 to 15 scholars. You have a roster to fill out, and there's going to be much more names that we are breaking down, and could be a ton of more names if some of these players enter the portal. But again, who knows? I mean, I set the over-under. I'm like, I wouldn't be shocked if Wes runs it back with 7 or 8 of these guys. Lilly scoffed in my face and said, "You're a damn fool, Chuck." And I said, "I'd rather be a fool than too prideful." I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's all I'm going to say about today's game. I got Rockets Warriors tonight that I'm fired up for. NBA playoffs a good time, and transfer portal the best time. And shout out to the Houston Cougars. As much as I hate to do this, they've built a very nice program, way to represent the old American, the old Conference USA, the Big 12. Very deserving, and an unreal win over the Blue Devils. See ya, everyone.